everyone, we're going to do the rational function or the reciprocal function of y equals 1 over x, and we're going to graph it and find out this information. So you might want to write this down. The ones with these two here have to do with end behavior. We'll talk about that. And these two are kind of the same. And symmetry goes with even or odd as well. So I talk about that together. Now I'm going to do all this basically on one or two graphs, so you might want to write some of this down. I went ahead and did the table of values. What you need to notice is at 0, this is undefined. So that means basically the domain is all real numbers. However, x, this is such that, but x cannot be what? 0. And the range is going to be the same because y can't be 0 either because you can't go from there, so y cannot be 0. So we're going to have two asymptotes. We have a horizontal asymptote and a vertical asymptote. I went ahead and graphed it over here, and this is what it looks like. We have a vertical asymptote at x equals 0. We have a horizontal asymptote, shouldn't cross there, at y equals 0. And we don't have any zeros because it doesn't intersect the y-axis. And y is positive in quadrant. So basically, this is where y is positive. All these values are positive here. Y is positive in quadrant 1 here. And so if we talk about the interval, we're talking about the x. So it's positive between 0 and infinity. And it's negative here between, and we're talking about, again, the x values from negative infinity to 0. Now, if we want to talk about end behavior, sometimes I like to do this opposite. So what I'm going to ask is, when x goes to infinity, so as x gets bigger and bigger, what's happening to my y? What's happening to my y is x is getting bigger and bigger. It's going down, and it's actually approaching 0. All right? Now, for this quadrant 3, what I'm going to ask is if as x starts from 0 to negative infinity, so as x, let me go down a little bit. As x approaches negative infinity, so as x is going this way to negative infinity, what's happening to my y? My y is getting, again, my f of x, which is your y, approaches 0. Okay? It is symmetric about the origin. And so this means it's symmetric to the origin, because you can reflect it over the x and y. That means it's odd. Remember I said the O's that should match. Their O's should match. All right? It is 1-to-1 because you can do the horizontal line test and it only hits once. It should if you graphed it right. So we can find the inverse. And what I'm going to do with the inverse here is go ahead and write my original table down. So my original table was xy negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2. So this was y equals 1 over x. So this is negative 1/2, negative 1, undefined, 1, 1/2. To do the inverse, you're going to switch the x and the y's. So I'm going to switch the x and the y's here. So negative 1/2 maps to negative 2. We don't have anything here, and 1, 1, 1/2 goes to 2. So negative 1/2 on the x goes to negative 2. Negative 1 goes to negative 1. 1 goes to 1. And 2 goes to 1/2. So basically, when you graph this, and you can actually put more values in, you're basically getting the same thing as you got before. Alright? And then we have to write the general form of this. The general form would be y equals 1 over x minus h plus k. So I'm going to go ahead and graph it. The original. And then we'll do a horizontal shift. So the horizontal shift, let's do y equals 1 over x minus 3. So we're shifting everything over by 3. Now recall that we had a shift over by 3 means we're switching the vertical asymptote over by 3. So we're shifting that over by 3. And then I just kind of go from here and graph my function. So this is my new origin here. Go down. So it's going to be more like this. Keeps going down. And it's going to go down this way. That's your horizontal shift. And for my vertical shift, I'm just going to do 1 over x. Let's go up by 2. I'm going to take my original, which is the black, and just go up by 2. So if I go up by 2 here, that's going to be 1, 1. And it's just going to be up. That means also my horizontal asymptote is shifting up by 2. So it's just going to go, where's it's going to be 1 here. Shifting up. This is awful. And then we're just shifting it up. Then you go down 1. And so let's be down here. And shift by 1. And that's a lot, but that's what it would be. Okay, thank you, and have a nice day. The next one's going to be very similar, but it's y equals 1 over x squared. Thank you, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.